tonight. As fire threatens Beauval once more, the feds warn the fire season may only get worse. 2 Regina organizations partner to bring basketball skills to immigrant and refugee youth. And buckle up, a Saskatchewan town races lawnmowers for a good cause.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Friday, July 18th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. I'm Ethan Williams. Thank you for joining us. First Nations leaders in Saskatchewan are voicing their concerns and frustration about Bill C-5, legislation aimed at fast-tracking national infrastructure projects. They were among leaders from across the country who gathered in Gatineau, Quebec on Thursday to hear from Prime Minister Mark Carney about the legislation. But they say the bill has already been passed before there was any Indigenous consultation. Darla Panes has our top story.
Indigenous leaders gathered Thursday in Ottawa after the summit. Some felt optimistic about the legislation, others were skeptical.
The legislation represents a direct threat to Indigenous sovereignty and treaty rights and long-standing responsibilities under the international law.
Hardlot says consultation without discussion is not consultation. He points to the National Resource Transfer Act, an act that gives the prairie provinces control over Crown land and resources, as another example of legislation signed without Indigenous leaders present.
Our people are hunters, gatherers, fishers, trappers, and these are treaty rights. And because of the NRTA, these rights have been eroded and violated. And all the injustices that have been done to our people suffered because of this legislation.
Shaolei Cree Nation Chief Marcel Head spoke with Prime Minister Mark Carney about his concerns. Head says there's never been any resource sharing from minerals extracted from his First Nation.
We are telling, both levels of government, by taking back what is rightfully ours and going back to the spirit and intent of treaty, and that was specifically to share the land and to share the resources. Do we see that today amongst both levels of government? No.
Carney says the potential benefits of new projects will flow to First Nations, and that Indigenous consultation will be central to the legislation. Darla Panes, CBC News, Regina.
A Regina police officer shot and killed someone during an investigation Friday morning. Police say it happened just after 10 a.m. here in the North Central neighborhood. They have not released any details about the victim. Officers cordoned off an alley between Athol and Garnet Streets near Buffalo Meadows Park. The victim was in the backyard of a home when the shooting happened. The Serious Incident Response Team, the province's police watchdog, is now investigating. Edmonton police are leading an investigation into the suspicious disappearance of a 24-year-old Cree woman. Natanis Marasti is from Saskatchewan. She disappeared back in May, and her vehicle was later found in this province. Madeline Smith has more on her family's plea for answers.
We want her home. She is loved. She did not deserve this. Family who dearly misses her want her home.
The search for Natanis Marasti has been on for more than 2 months. The 24-year-old member of Peter Ballantine First Nation was reported missing from her home in Saskatchewan, with the last confirmed sighting of her in West Edmonton on May 5th, first at the Continental Inn and then a nearby 7-Eleven. She hasn't been seen since, but police traced the movements of her vehicle, traveling west to BC and onto a ferry to Nanaimo, then returning to the Edmonton area, continuing to Lloydminster and into Saskatchewan. The car was found abandoned and repainted silver in James Smith Cree Nation. That was on May 15th.
As you can see, this missing person investigation stretches across 3 provinces. It speaks to the scale of work that's ongoing and the complexity of this case.
Police are seeking tips from any of the 3 provinces where Marasti's vehicle was spotted. The family hopes there's someone who knows where she is.
Like, just to tell her in Cree, like, it's okay. Like, you don't need to be scared. You don't need to hide. Like, we all love you, and kapigi winsa. Like, means come home now.
Investigators are asking anyone who might have information to come forward to police or report anonymously to Crime Stoppers. Madeline Smith, CBC News, Edmonton.
Premier Scott Moe met with workers from Evraz this week. It comes as its Regina plant faces uncertainty after private equity firm Atlas Holdings announced plans to buy Evraz. Despite some interim challenges, Moe says the future at Evraz is promising. That was bolstered by news this week that Ottawa is supporting Canadian steel by limiting imports from other countries.
Evraz company is sold to an American owner, ironically, in light of the discussion around U.S. tariffs on steel. But there is a path, and I think the steel industry certainly is an example of just how integrated we are across the 49th parallel in our North American economy.
Evraz had been seeking a buyer for its North American holdings since 2022, when the Russian headquartered company was sanctioned over Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Evraz employs 3,400 people at its facilities in Colorado, Oregon, Alberta, and Regina. The wildfire outside of Beauval has flared up again. It comes after weeks of firefighting efforts around the community. The mayor says it's an enormous blaze, and he's worried for the safety of the village. Meanwhile, the federal government says forecasting shows the fire season is far from over, and it will be a long time before things get better. Chris Edwards has the latest.
This is what things looked like on Thursday night outside of Beauval. The muskeg fire, now more than 200,000 hectares in size, flared up again on the edge of the community and threatening the local airport. The community's mayor says the fire is now even more unpredictable.
Rain is the only thing that'll stop this fire. It's a monster of a fire. It goes from Dory Lake all the way to Isle Cross.
This latest flare-up comes as the opposition NDP has called for more federal assistance with the fires, which are now the most widespread the province has seen in years. The provincial government has sent a letter to Ottawa requesting resources.
Specifically, values protection resources from across the country to augment what we already have. A general increase if there's available helicopter that could be deployed and added to move crews around to do some work.
On Friday, the federal government released its own report on the fires, warning that the situation may only get worse before it gets better.
Looking ahead, forecasts point to above average temperatures across much of Canada through the end of August, with dry conditions expected to intensify in the coming weeks, particularly in the west and the north.
This weekend, 40 firefighters from Mexico will arrive in Beauval. They'll be joining Australian firefighters already there, along with local fire crews from across the province. Chris Edwards, CBC News, Regina.
Some teenagers who are new to this country got a shot at learning some basketball skills this week in Regina. It's all part of a camp that's instilling a love of the sport and forging new friendships. Alex Kozrowski has that story.
17-year-old Emmanuel Kabwari grew up playing soccer in his home country of Uganda, but he fell in love with basketball when he immigrated to Canada in 2023.
Other than soccer, it was accessible. There's courts everywhere, so I love basketball. That one, I felt like doing it every day.
Kabwari is one of 52 immigrant and refugee youth in Regina honing their basketball skills at this camp. It's a partnership between the Regina Open Doors Society and Bring 'em Up Sask, which helps pay for new Canadians who want to play elite-level sports.
We get snacks every day and those kind of stuff, and then we get coaches who teach us literally everything, from shooting to dribbling to anything.
The fundraising gala put on for the program raised more than 3 times its goal. Organizers say that money is producing inspiring results in the kids.
Like, they celebrate each other like better than I could ever teach someone to do, you know? So I have just seen their genuine excitement when someone on the other team does something really well and wins.
For kids like Kabwari, it's much more than just basketball.
I've met a lot of people like Abdul and other Mo. I just met them here and we are now very great friends. We already share the contact, actually fun, and then I love it so much.
The camp wrapped up Friday, but organizers are hoping to make more Bring 'em Up programming happen soon. Alex Kozarowski, CBC News, Regina.
Well, it was a nice day for Wascana Park's main inhabitants, the geese, of course, and for those dodging what they sometimes leave behind. But those sprinklers may not be needed for long. Take a gander outside while you can. That mild, sunny weather might be on its way out. Riley Lachuk has the details in the full forecast after the break. In 2018, a group of friends in Shaunavon came together with a unique idea, racing lawnmowers around a track. That idea has since become reality and has become known as the Boomtown Cup. It's happening this weekend, and one of the organizers caught up with the Morning Edition's Tori Gillis.
Tell me about what's behind you here.
We got a couple of the racing lawnmowers behind us here. They're still in the shop, kind of doing some last-minute tuning and getting ready for the big race on Saturday.
Okay, so let's go back to the beginnings. How did the Boomtown Cup get started?
There was a group of us friends that kind of got together. We wanted to put a new spark back into our Boomtown days. Our Boomtown days were kind of petering out a little bit, and we came up to a couple different ideas, and the lawnmower racing is something we thought young to old, anybody can get involved. So we came up with doing lawnmower races, and it has been a hit right since day one and keeps getting bigger and bigger every year.
I got to know, like it's been quite a few years. Would you say, like, has the technology and what you're doing to the lawnmowers, has it changed over the years?
Our very first year, there was a lot of lawnmowers that were just basically throw together, get them in there, make them go fast. They weren't really the ground. Over the years, they've kept getting quicker and quicker and quicker. Like last year, we had track speeds of like 65 kilometers an hour.
Oh my goodness.
This year, there's no doubting in my mind that they're going to be hitting that 70 mark easily. So people keep pushing them to their limits to make them go faster and faster.
How does that feel riding there at 65 or 70?
You're just like inches off the ground. When you're sitting on them going 65 kilometers an hour, it feels like you're flying. Our track is like a road style course, so it's not just the fastest lawnmower that wins. You still have to be able to turn quite sharp corners, so it feels like you're moving really quick.
Well, that was my next question. You're not on grass then?
No, we've got a track built just by the hospital in Shaunavon. It's a very convenient location for lawnmower racing. Built a road style course, so it's got some hairpin corners in it that you got to be able to take. We kind of banked it up, so you do take corners on the banks and can get some speed coming out of them. So
how does it connect your community with this event?
We have kids that are 2 years old that love it. We have kids that are adults that are 90 years old that love it. The patients in the nursing home, they come out to it. We've got a handicap section. Like we kind of have it so that anybody in the community can be included. We're seeing crowds in that like 2,000 people mark. Which is really good for a town of Shaunavon that only has 1,700 people in the town itself. So it's very well supported, and the community jumps behind it big time.
And tell me a little bit more. I kind of touched on it when we started talking, but how do you give back?
So basically, it's a fundraiser. Everything we raise, it stays within the community, and that's what our main goal was right from day one. We wanted we give back to the splash park. We would give back to the baseball pavilion, minor sports groups, the dog park. Now we're doing it into the indoor pool, but it's also like the community itself gives back drastically. Like that's what makes the event a huge success. Like whether it's the businesses stepping up, even the racers. Like it's not free to enter a lawnmower. It takes some time, it takes some money, and like the amount of time and effort and money that people put into this event, not just the organizing group, it's everybody that put the event on. If we didn't have the people that build the lawnmowers, it's not much of a race. So yeah, the community itself really jumped behind this and makes it happen.
Well, a nice Friday for many of us across the province. A lot of people wondering what this summer weekend is going to have in store. And weather specialist Riley Lachuk joins us now with the details. Hi, Riley.
Well, across the south, Ethan, another pretty pleasant day, albeit slightly below seasonal for this time of the year. 23 degrees in Regina, 24 in Saskatoon. Air quality a bit better through central parts of the province today. Air quality health index at around a 2 or a 3 through the afternoon hours. Thanks to that shift in wind, which has pushed some of that wildfire smoke a little bit further north and eastward down into the parkland again. That's where we've had the air quality warning in place. And again, as we get through the weekend, this warning map will change probably several times over the weekend, just because we're looking at some changing winds and some changing conditions over the next couple of days here. So mix of sun and clouds today, few stray little pop-up showers around Saskatoon and down into Kamsack, Kenora through the afternoon hours. But other than that, we've been looking at mainly sunny skies, some residual clearing from an area of high pressure that moved through. Things change though as we get into the day on Saturday. Some cloud starts to move in. We have this area of low pressure back into Alberta. The leading edge of that bringing some rain as we get through the afternoon hours, and even along the international border, the risk of a thunderstorm, even into Regina. I think there is a chance of an isolated thunderstorm as we get through Saturday into Sunday evening. So just keep that in mind. I mean, do expect some wet weather, but just keep your eyes on the sky, because we could run into some rumbles of thunder, some downpours, the potential for some gusty winds as well as we head Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday. Still some lingering precipitation, but we will get some clearing in behind this, and temperatures that stabilize a little bit as we get toward the middle of next week. What this translates to in terms of rainfall accumulation, I think these numbers are a little bit high. They're taking into account the potential for some of that thunderstorm activity, but generally, where we are looking at some rain through the weekend, I think do expect 10 to 15 millimeters of much needed rain for parts of the province. Unfortunately, that southwestern corner of the province where we really need some rain, just not in the cards, at least with this system as well. And I'm not looking at any major precipitation in the long range, unfortunately, either. So winds do shift around again as we get into the day on Saturday. It could introduce a bit more haze into places like Saskatoon, but continuing air quality issues down into the parkland as we get Saturday into Sunday. We'll start to get a bit of a shift in wind again as we get into next week, and I think that could bring in a little bit more in the way of air quality issues as we get into the next week or so for parts of southern Saskatchewan again. So snapshot of your temperatures through the afternoon hours, looking at 22 in Regina by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, looking at 23 for a daytime high. Again, temperatures remaining below seasonal for this time of the year. We should be at around 25 or 26 degrees, but best 18s and 19s through the western part of the province, and where we are, Ethan, continuing to see some heat as into northern parts of the province, and temperatures even pushing 30 degrees in the far north.
All right, thank you very much, Riley. Well, after more than 30 years, CBS is pulling the plug on The Late Show. Stephen Colbert, who has hosted since 2015, shared the news with his audience Thursday night.
Next year will be our last season. The network will be ending The Late Show in May. And
the decision comes just days after Colbert spoke out against CBS's parent company, Paramount Global, after it settled a lawsuit with Donald Trump. The company agreed to pay $16 million after the U.S. president's legal team claimed a 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris was edited to paint her in a positive light. In a statement, CBS executives say the Colbert decision is financial and not related in any way to the show's performance or other matters happening at Paramount. The Late Show is currently the most watched late-night program. Scientists in England are about to melt a sample of the world's oldest ice taken from deep inside the Antarctic for climate analysis. Scientists say the sample, drilled from a depth of 2.8 kilometers, holds atmosphere captured more than 1 million years ago. They say there's evidence to suggest that the ice sheets were actually smaller, sea levels were potentially higher, and carbon dioxide levels were similar to today.
So while you're back in Batoche, let's eat a lot of bannock, let's make new friends, and let's dance.
Well, hundreds of people have flocked to the Batoche National Historic Site north of Saskatoon. This weekend will be filled with jigging, fiddling, and other traditional Métis activities as people celebrate the annual Back to Batoche Days. An extra reason to celebrate, 50 more bison will make the land home before the end of this year. Stay with us. We have more news and a final look at the forecast after the break. Welcome back. While most kids are out of school for the summer, some in Saskatoon have been hard at work earning a few bucks. They're part of an entrepreneurship camp put on by the Edwards School of Business at the University of Saskatchewan. Saskatoon Morning's Stephanie Massicott stopped by to check out the products and services they've come up with.
So over a week with the kids in this group, we'll be reviewing different business topics for them to start their business from zero. Working from Monday with entrepreneurship, going to marketing, finance, production, and then Friday, which is the big fair.
So our stand is our 3D printing business called Toys for Kin. We started about half a year ago because my sister got a 3D printer for her birthday, and ever since we've been trying to make a business out of it.
I do code tricks for tips, or you can buy a deck for $3. Okay, we cut the codes. Now you tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Right there, perfect. See?
Wow. What did you like most about camp?
They teach you a lot about advertising, marketing, how to sell your business, how to make money, and then we eventually get to make our own money in the camp.
Most of the kids, they profit, they pay the loan, they'll pay the float, and they're happy at the end with all the money they make.
All right, a bit unsettled as we head into the weekend, looking at 23 degrees in Regina through the afternoon. A good chance we'll see some showers. I think the better chance, though, is as we head into Sunday of seeing a little bit of precipitation even, with the risk of some thunderstorms even persisting into Sunday across southern parts of the province at 24 degrees. Temperatures remaining below seasonal as we start next week, and even getting cooler than that into Tuesday and Wednesday, albeit things do start to stabilize by the time we get to the middle of the weekend. Yes, I've even got a 31 on the board for Friday. For Regina under a mainly sunny sky. Into Saskatoon, temperatures also remaining below seasonal for this time of the year. Fairly good chance of seeing some showers, maybe a rumble of thunder into Saturday. The best chance, though, coming into Sunday at 19 degrees. Temperatures even in the teens to start next week on Tuesday. And then we see temperatures rebounding close to that 30-degree mark by the time we get to the end of next week, with conditions stabilizing and back to sunny skies.
Yeah, still lots of summer ahead of us for sure. Thank you, Riley. And that is it for us this week. For more news anytime, you can always head to our website. We're at cbc.ca/Sask or /Saskatoon. You can always subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. And of course, you can always also download the CBC News app on your smartphone or tablet. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great weekend.